Welcome to another episode of the Zen Watercooler podcast. I am Zen Watercooler. It's great to have you here. I love these podcasts. These are audio-only podcasts where I get to ramble at length into the microphone, hopefully providing some sort of value for you in the print-on-demand world. Now, if you're wondering, how do I get more of this guy talking into the microphone? I've actually got another channel called Crafty Stacks, and that's Crafty S-T-A-X on YouTube. Make sure to check that out. There's a couple hundred videos in there as well. And it deals with things like digital downloads and some deep dive tutorials on how to use things like Inkscape, Photopea, and some other cool products. Okay, so let's jump into this one. Today, it's all about staying motivated. How do you stay motivated? Now, I think the normal answer that comes up, people would say, well, sales. Sales are going to motivate me to keep doing print on demand. And that's true. I think that's a good point. And I have to admit, sales is always a good motivator for me. I have all my channel sales turned on in terms of emails. So if I get a sale on Redbubble or Merch by Amazon once a month sends me sales reports, or I'll go in and I'll check sales pretty much not every day, but every few days I'll go in and see it. And the reason I'm doing that is not so much the money itself. You sell it sticker and it's worth 32 cents. I mean, you're not exactly going to pay off the mortgage if you sell one t-shirt. But the idea, though, with having sales as a motivating force is that you can remind yourself that this is income. It's not necessarily passive income, but it's income. I mean, the joke is it's so passive. I mean, you're spending 16 hours a day working, uploading designs, and you're tagging them, and you're working on a computer, you're giving up time with your friends and your family. It's not really passive income, right? But it's sales, and it's some income. It is pretty cool to get royalty payments from Amazon KDP or to get payments from Merch by Amazon, and it might be $50 a month, might be $100 a month, might be $1,000 a month. If you really want to get motivated, there's this website called Reddit that I go to once in a while, and it's a total black hole. So I'm warning you in advance. If you go onto Reddit, you're going to lose hours of your life. You're going to have to shave. You're going to miss birthdays. I'm on Reddit, and I'm just going, oh my goodness, where did the 4 hours go? Kind of go down these rabbit holes. And one of the things on Reddit that I like is there's this subreddit, which is print on demand. And you can have subreddits about Redbubble specifically or Merch by Amazon, but sometimes there's these print on demand subreddits, and people will share their sales figures on Reddit. They'll have screenshots of them. And you'll see things like Merch by Amazon, somebody makes $3,000 US. And it's like, wow, that is actually pretty motivating. So the reason I mention this is not to shame some new artist that's maybe making $6 a month, but rather to say, hey, there's always going to be somebody out there that's making a little bit more money or a lot more money than we are. And you can use their sales to actually motivate you as well. So this is kind of the tactic that I use. Yes, I make pretty good sales, but there's always somebody out there that makes more sales. So I will actually read through the Reddit and look at these screenshots and just think, oh my goodness, there is hope for me yet. I'm currently on tier 500 in Merch by Amazon. And between book sales and t-shirt sales, on merch, and then there's Amazon KDP. Amazon pays me some pretty good money every month, and I'm pretty proud of the work that I've done. Is it $3,000 a month? No, but it sure is something to shoot towards. I imagine my retirement someday is me sitting on the deck sipping iced tea, watching people golf as I'm furiously uploading more and more t-shirt designs because I've hit tier 10,000 in Merch by Amazon. I always wonder about people that hit tier 10,000. It's like, is this your entire life now? Because you could spend 6 hours a day uploading t-shirt designs and you're never going to fill all those slots, which is an amazing problem to have. I mean, man, my goodness, how many of us would love to be in tier 10,000? He's just saying it gives me the chills. So in this video, we're really going to break down some different ways that you can motivate yourself to work on print on demand. There's really two pain points that I can see in terms of not having motivation. So you get up in the morning, you should be working on it, you should put an hour in, but it's sunny outside, you want to go for a walk. I can hear the Slurpee calling me in the background. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just go for a walk and go grab a drink. And I would hope you have some friends or some family that wanted to spend time with you. So my point is there's always reasons to not work on something. There's always reasons to not vacuum the house. There's always reasons to not mow the lawn. And there's always reasons to not work on print on demand. So how do we get motivated? Well, the obvious one is sales. So I spent a little bit of time talking about sales, but I'm not really going to mention that again. And the primary reason is, as much as we can upload designs and as much as we can tag and we can look at niches, we can't really control sales. We're not going to buy a firearm, and we're not going to go to our buddy's house and put a gun to his head and force him to buy a t-shirt. So we can't really control that somebody out there in the world is going to buy a sticker, a book, a t-shirt. We pretty much have to hope that our designs are attracting enough eyeballs that somebody somewhere is going to purchase it. So I really want to not worry about sales in this podcast. What I want to talk about instead are different ways that you can get motivated. And the big one for me is I try to draw on the creative mentality that's buried inside of print on demand. What do I mean by that? So what I mean is creative juices flow when there's a state of flow where you can, they use this in athletics. If you're playing sports at a high level, you're in flow. And what this means is everything seems to be working. Your brain, your body, there's motion involved, and you're able to make the pass, score the goal, shoot the basket, whatever it is. Well, there is that as well in the print-on-demand world. And I do get this at times when I'm creative. What'll be happening is I'll be working away at my computer, and I'll notice maybe I'm on Kittl or I'm on Creative Fabrica, and all of a sudden I see a whole bundle of graphics and I'm really excited about them. I think, oh, okay, I could make this design. Oh, I could make this design. Oh, I could scale up and I could make 30 variants of this design. And it gets almost overwhelming, not in a bad way, but it gets very exciting. My brain starts firing. I think about all the designs. Now you'll notice I'm not thinking about all of the sales. I'm thinking about all of the designs that I can make. And so I get excited about creating the design and creating the product itself. And I think that's a very important distinction because, yes, the sales are good, but I really measure my success in terms of things I can control with the number of uploads that I'm doing. So, for example, if I'm on tier 500 on Merch by Amazon, my metric of success is, can I fill all 500 of those slots of those designs and eventually get all the products activated? That's my metric of success. And the sales will follow. It's the same thing with Redbubble. I set up a new store recently. Can I get to 1,000 designs uploaded onto Redbubble? It sounds like a lot, but if you do 10 a day, within 3.5 months, you've got pretty much 1,000 designs. So it's certainly doable. I'm not trying to minimize it, but I'm saying that's my motivation. I actually have a little piece of paper up on my fridge in my kitchen that has daily totals of my Redbubble store. Every day I'm uploading 10 a day, and I can see the progress over time, and it's motivating because you can track it. There's a saying in the business world that measurement is management and management is measurement. So the idea here is that you can't manage what you can't measure. Now they use this in terms of like a factory floor. You want to manage the staff, you have to measure output. It's the same thing in print on demand. If you want to measure something, yes, there's sales reports, but you can measure your output in terms of your total designs that you've activated, the total uploads that you've had. This is a big deal. I do this with Displate quite a bit. I look at the number of uploads that I've got. Can I get to 4,000? Can I get to 5,000? Can I get to 6,000 designs uploaded onto Displate? It's a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time, but I know I can do it. So I do want to point out that this is not always easy to do. There's really, as I was saying, there's two pain points with motivation. One is you're not making sales. And so you're going, well, what's the point of all of this, right? This is the equivalent of me sitting in a room with an adult coloring book, and at the end of the day, the coloring book's full, and you go, I'm going to just throw it in the garbage. You're not really selling the book. You're not really providing value. So that's one pain point, is you're not making any sales. The other mentality, the other pain point, is when you are making so many sales that you, quite frankly, get lazy. And this is where I've struggled with over the last few months, especially when it gets warm outside. I live in Canada, and it's just started to get warm. And it's like, oh man, I'd much rather go for a walk than upload a bunch of Redbubble designs. And I'm already making enough sales. I make a sale every couple days. I make a sale a day. I'm like, it's good. It's running on autopilot. So I do want to point that out as well, because sometimes a little bit of success can make us a bit soft and a bit lazy. And it's tough to stay motivated when you're making those sales. So what do you do about it? Really, at the end of the day, it goes back to what I was saying before. You want to make sure that your creative output, and that's either quality or quantity, those become your metrics of success. So yes, I look at sales, but what I really do is I focus on the actual output, the actual quantifiable output that I can measure. Another way that I motivate myself is that when I do get an email saying I've made a sale, I don't really care about the money. Yes, it's nice if the sale is, $10 canvas print versus a 30-cent sticker, but I don't really care. What I care about instead is that I'm providing value to someone in the world, especially a stranger. As much as I love selling to friends and family, and I do quite a bit, I'll get emails from a cousin or one of my nieces or one of my friends, and they'll say, hey, can you create a t-shirt? We've got a party and we need it to look like blah, blah, blah. Sure, I can create the shirt. Not a problem. But what really gets me excited is when I sell to a complete stranger. So I get a sales report and it says, hey, you've made a sale. And I look on Amazon KDP, or I look on Merch by Amazon, and there's like 20 sales in there. It's like, 20 complete strangers bought my book, or 20 complete strangers bought my t-shirt. Well, that's a really cool feeling. So I actually meditate on that a little bit when I go for a walk in the evening, or I'll sit there quietly for a couple seconds and I'll just reflect on it. And I'll think, wow, somewhere in the world, someone is wearing my t-shirt. Somewhere in the world, somebody has a disc plate up that I created, and it's in their house. I think that's just a really cool thing to think about, that I've somehow changed the world. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, calm down. You're not the president and you're not the astronaut. But it is kind of neat to think that there's a kid running around somewhere in Europe who's got a sticker on their binder, and I made the sticker, or at least I designed the sticker. That's a pretty cool feeling. So I'm going to own that, and I'm going to put that in my heart, and I'm going to say, you know what, that's a pretty cool thing, that I made a positive impact in the world in some way. Yes, it's not the biggest change in the world, but a lot of life are small details. In fact, I would say most of life are small details. A lot of us rail on social media about how horrible the world is, right? And yes, the state of the world, we've got political strife and people are killing each other overseas, and it's awful. But I will say, something that we can control is how nice we are to people in our local community. When you're at the grocery store and somebody's taken forever to fill out the self-checkout to actually scan their groceries and get out of there, this is where I tell myself, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where life is testing me. Can I be a nice person and be patient? And in fact, maybe help them. That's making the world a better place, not necessarily campaigning for some major change. And look, those are important issues too. But the world becomes a better place when in those moments, you're able to tell yourself, hey, let's choose kindness here in this point. I had this happen the other day. I was in traffic, sitting in an intersection, and there was a person behind me who wanted to turn right. So I kind of scooted over. It's really a single lane, but I thought, I'll be a nice guy. And I scooted over and went to the left side, and I was going straight through the intersection. So this person pulls up beside me. They're on the right-hand side. So I just glanced over, and I gave him a quick little smile, like, I'm trying to get out of my way. And this person looked like they were ready to eat nails. They were obviously in a hurry. They came screaming up beside me. They whipped around the corner and they left, and I thought, I'm not getting a wave, I'm not getting a thank you, I'm not getting anything. And I thought, you know what, that's okay. Sometimes people are in their own headspace, and sometimes you have to be kind knowing you're not going to get it reciprocated. So it's in that vein. You might be thinking, why is this guy rambling about getting cut off in traffic here? What's going on? There was no fight. I didn't whip out a golf club and beat the guy into submission. What happened instead is I just went, you know what? Everybody's in their own world, and I'm going to move on with my life. So the reason I mention this is in print on demand, you're being kind, you're providing value to someone that you're probably never ever going to meet. And I think that's a really cool thing, right? You're providing kindness and value and positivity in the world, but you're not getting that person waving thank you to you in the car. Sometimes you just have to be nice or you have to be kind, and it's not going to necessarily be reciprocated. Now, they're paying you money, so in that sense, it's being reciprocated, but you're not necessarily going to get a thank you. And that's okay, because somebody somewhere has paid you a little bit of a royalty and you've provided that much value in the world. Now, I do want to point out there are things you can control and there are things that you can't control. And I think that that's very important for motivation day to day. When you're thinking about how to stay motivated to do something, you have to ask yourself, what can I control and what can I not control? I'm going to give you another example here. So I'm playing recreational hockey, ice hockey, and it's the summer in Canada, and I've signed up for summer hockey. So we all go to the ice rink, and it's bloody cold, and we skate around, and I am not a great hockey player. I did play my whole life, but not organized. And this is organized hockey. There's face-offs, there's a referee, there's rules. It's not just a bunch of people chasing one puck around the ice like a bunch of 8-year-olds. And so I'm learning a lot about individual skill and also team play. I'm really enjoying it. So how do I stay motivated, especially when I'm not very good? I'm basically the beginner player, and I need to work on my skills. Well, that's one way to get motivated, is to tell yourself, is there a way I can individually improve day to day, week to week, and year to year? So I throw this back into the print-on-demand world, and you may want to ask yourself, are there things that you can improve upon from a skill set perspective, and that'll keep you motivated? So for example, maybe you've seen some of my video tutorials on Inkscape, and that's on my other channel, Crafty Stacks, #shameless plug alert. And so if you're looking at Inkscape tutorials and you're thinking, well, I'm brand new at Inkscape, I'm not very good at it, that's a motivation factor. You can say, okay, my next metric of success is not going to be sales, it's not even going to be uploads, it's can I make a certain type of design using Inkscape. If you've just recently purchased the Kittl subscription and you're on Kittl and you're having a great time, can you make a certain type of design on Kittl? Or maybe you've got the Creative Fabrica All Access monthly subscription, and if that's the case, you ask yourself, can you download a huge bundle of 100 or more designs and use those to create enough print-on-demand designs that you can upload, say, 100 designs? Like, you'd want to have these little mini contests with yourself or little mini projects and say, okay, can I unlock this next level like in a video game? So this is what I personally do. I'm on Leonardo AI, for example, which is an amazing AI platform. I'm learning how to use it. I'm mastering it. I'm typing in different text prompts. I'm using different filters. I'm creating what I think are spectacular works of art, and I'm learning. So to me, the learning is a massive motivational factor for me, because it really unlocks and opens up an entire new universe of types of designs that I can create. I remember the first time I learned how to put a cat's head on an astronaut's body. It took me about 2 hours to do it in Photoshop, and I was selling on Etsy at the time, and I was doing custom cat portraits. And so people would send in their picture of their cat. I would then Photoshop out their head, and then I would put it on templates. It could be an astronaut body or Napoleon's body. There could be an army general. And these are pretty fun to do, and they do sell on Etsy, and you can make some pretty good money, even $10 or $15 for a portrait. If you do a couple of these a day, you're making some pretty good coin. So it's one of these things where you have to learn how to do it, though. And you can do it, and it can look really, really bad if you're not very good with Photoshop, or you can do it, and it looks really, really good. So for example, a way that you can level up when you're doing this sort of design is, rather than just chop out the cat's head and stick it on a template, you've got other brushes that you're used to using. So for example, if I'm cutting the head off of a black cat, I'm talking about the photograph obviously, and I stick it in Photoshop on an army person's head, I've got enough black brushes that I can seamlessly make it look like there's hair sticking out of the collar, and it looks really good. but it's like a magic trick. It's not really the cat's hair. I'm adding to it by having these different styles of brushes that makes it look like hair. It's little tricks like that that make your designs go from, oh, that's pretty good, to, oh my goodness, how on earth did you do that? And you can see really high-end artists that use different techniques. If you ever watch YouTube videos of people on how they actually make art, like some of my Photoshop tutorials, there's a lot of little tricks that people can use. And the more tricks you can learn, the more cards you can play. When the situation comes up, you've got a tool for the job. There's a great saying in the construction industry, it's all about the tool, the right tool for the right job. And you don't want to have a project not go well because you didn't have the right tool. So that's really the difference sometimes between a good carpenter and a really, really good carpenter, a master carpenter, is they have more tools. They have more screwdrivers, they've got more chisels, they've got more drill bits, and they can really fine tune the work that they do. Well, it's the same thing in the digital download design platform area, and it's the same thing in print on demand. I've got multiple platforms that I work on. I've got about 8 different artificial intelligence platforms that I know how to use. I also can use Inkscape, Photoshop, Photopea. I can also use Kittle. I have different all access such as Vexels, Creative Fabrica. So if somebody says to me, if I'm out playing hockey and somebody says to me, hey, can you design a jersey for our hockey team? In my mind, instantly, I'm motivated because I have 8 different tools that I can use. Okay, maybe I'll create one with Kittle. Maybe I'll go on Creative Fabrica. Maybe I'll try to design one from scratch on Photoshop. How am I going to tackle this? Now my brain's firing. Now I'm excited. That's how you get motivated, is you find new and novel ways to challenge yourself. There's a psychological principle where if you're playing a game with someone, could be any game, so make it up in your mind. Maybe you're playing chess, for example. You want to win once in a while. That keeps you motivated to come back. Imagine if you're playing chess against a 5-year-old and you just beat them 100 times out of 100 times. Well, what's going to happen? The kid's going to eventually leave. He's going to go, man, screw this. I'm 5 years old. I don't need this in my life. I'm only 60 months old. I got better things to do with my time. He's going to leave. So what you want to do to keep him motivated is you want to have him win once in a while. So the best games that you can play, and you've probably had this happen to you when you play a video game, is you start off on a really easy level and then things get progressively more difficult. And this is actually a good thing, because if it's too easy, it's going to be boring. And if it's too hard, you're going to be unmotivated. So you want to find that sweet spot where you're winning enough that it keeps you coming back. This is why golf is so maddening to play and so addictive to play, because even the worst golfer in the world will eventually hit a good shot and par one of the holes. And he says, well, maybe I should come back and play again because maybe I'll par 2 holes next time. So even though like I'm a terrible golfer, for example, I hit enough good shots that it keeps me coming back. I know I'm not going to make any money on the PGA Tour, but I'm having fun because I'm gaining success when I play enough that it keeps me coming back. So what you really want to do is you want to challenge yourself. Try to learn something new. It could be Inkscape, Photoshop, Photopea, whatever it is. There's a ton of new artificial intelligence platforms out there. Night Cafe, Leonardo AI, Dream by Wombo, just to name a few. And they're really fun to use. And you can challenge yourself. You can say, okay, can I make a certain type of design? So rather than push, you want to pull. Now, what do I mean by that? When you're sitting there looking at the prompt with artificial intelligence, instead of just randomly typing something in and seeing what happens, ask yourself in advance, what do you want to make? So challenge yourself. Can you make a knight on a horse in a thunderstorm? And it's a white horse, and it's a medieval knight, and he's got a flag of England in the background, and there's a castle, and there's a battle raging. Can you make that? So you decide this in advance, and then you have to tweak the settings. You have to tweak the filters. You're trying to make something specific. That's the pull strategy. You're pulling your ideas and your effort into something to make it work, rather than just push, which is, well, I'll just type some stuff in and see what happens. So there's a mentality that's a bit different, and I like the pull mentality because it really forces you to work towards a goal and pull your resources towards that goal rather than just pushing. The last thing I want to talk about here in terms of making things motivating day to day is to really have some fun and have some novelty in your life. So what I would recommend you do is make the environment as comfortable as possible. So get comfy. A lot of people sit at their computer desk when they're working. Is there a way you can maybe sit on the couch? Or is there a way you could maybe work on the deck out in the backyard? Or go to a cafe? Switch things up, make it novel. Is there a way that you can switch platforms? So for example, maybe one week you're going to work on Redbubble, and then the next week you'll work on merch by Amazon, and the next week you're only going to worry about Etsy or Amazon KDP. And then every week you're sort of starting anew. You're waking up Monday morning saying, okay, I'm going to now only focus on Displate for the next week. And how many can I upload? You're going to challenge yourself. And then you really want to make the time fun. You want to maybe have a podcast on, or maybe listen to some music. For example, I'm trying to get motivated to work out, right? And this is really tough because I just find working out so boring. It's so tough to stay motivated. So what I do is I've got my favorite podcasts. I've got one or two of my favorite podcasts. I'll only listen to them when I work out. So I'm trying on purpose to associate in my brain working out with something pleasurable. Instead of me just working out and staring at the wall and crying, I've got something that I want to listen to. So by proxy, I want to work out. It's sort of a trick, right? But this is how you motivate yourself for stuff you don't really want to do. With print on demand, I actually really want to do it. So what I do instead is I just get lazy. And it's like, well, I could do this, but I'm already making sales. So instead, I try to make it novel. I try to make it fun. And it's a form of the work is its own reward. So rather than working to get a reward, the work itself is the reward. Uploading the designs is the reward, and the sales will come in time. I really hope you found this audio-only podcast helpful. Maybe you're outside working in the yard. Maybe you're out getting that walk in. Maybe you're driving. And wherever you're going, I wish you all the best. I've got more podcasts on this channel. Make sure to check out the playlist, and you'll see a podcast playlist. And if you check on that, there'll be more and more of me ranting and raving like a lunatic into the microphone. I so much appreciate you. I'd love to hear your comments. If you found this helpful, if you have a suggestion for a future podcast, if you just want to drop me a line, that would be fantastic. I wish you the best of luck in your print-on-demand journey. I am Zen Watercooler. The channel is Zen Watercooler. We will talk later. Thank you so much.